Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker, nothing but Star Wars. Da, 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 da. Hello,
Fuck
everyone. And welcome to this reflection, or, well, I guess review of the trailer, the final trailer for Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars, Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, which is due to be released in just under 2 months in December. So, Jack, what did we think of this trailer?
Fucking shit. Goodbye. Only joking.
Well, it is goodbye. It's the last film in the Skywalker saga.
The saga ends, as it said in the trailer. I really like this trailer. I think it's much better than the first trailer we had. The first trailer, speaking about that briefly, I thought it was quite stupid the way Rey jumped over a fucking TIE fighter. And she is kind of a Mary Sue. Like, she's just, sort of perfect character. But no, I really like this trailer. It's interesting to see her at the start running away. And then, you cut to, what's his name again? Fuck. Finn, yeah. Cut to Finn, yeah. And then the Pie Fisher. That was great. And you've got the Return of the Emperor. You didn't see him in the trailer, but you do hear his voice. And you see the TIE fighters and the Star Destroyers rising and things like that. The trailer was, it was really good actually. And my only concern though is that since this is the last film that they're bringing the Emperor back, I hope it's just a flashback, like he's a Force ghost or something. I would rather have that than him return fully. It kind of makes Return of the Jedi redundant because Vader killed the Emperor at the end of Return of the Jedi, and to just bring him back like that in this film is a bit kind of makes Return of the Jedi pointless. But hopefully it'll be good.
Also, if he were to be alive, how old must he be? Because this trilogy, this sequel trilogy, is set 30 years after Return of the Jedi. So, and Palpatine was already old in Return of the Jedi. So, I don't think there would be much of him left. In The Phantom Menace, he would have been, what, his 50s? In his 50s, something like that. So he must be getting to near 100 years old by the time The Rise of Skywalker comes around.
Yeah, exactly. He was 50 odd in Phantom Menace, and then Return of the Jedi, which was like 20 years after Revenge of the Sith. Like, he was in his 60s, so I think he was in his 70s or 80s in Return of the Jedi. So yeah, he'd been his like good nod like that if he was still alive. It could be him. He could be resurrected at some point, but I hope he's just a Force ghost or it's like a flashback. Like we have flashbacks of him. Because it just kind of makes Vader's death pointless in Return of the Jedi. Like the whole point of that film, he's done, being seduced by Sidious, and his son basically Luke rejects him, and he starts killing him, and Vader sort of realizes that Sidious is evil, and he comes to his senses and he kills him. But in the process, he gets fried by his electricity. The electricity like short circuits his suit, and he starts dying. So, yeah, it kind of makes Return of the Jedi a bit pointless, to be honest, if they just bring him back like that. No, but from the trailer, the trailer did definitely look good. Like, I like the scene where like C-3PO says like, "Oh, I'm looking at my friends one last time," or whatever. So maybe, I don't know, 3PO dies. I don't know, but
yeah, well, either that or he deactivates for some reason.
Yeah, what did you think of the trailer?
I really liked it. Yeah, it was a really interesting trailer. A lot of it is kind of what we expect from Star Wars. Very much an epic battle between good and evil. I think the scope of this one looks massive, so it should be interesting. And apparently, I've been reading up, it's actually going to be the longest Star Wars movie. I think it's actually 2 hours 35 minutes. It's really long, apparently. That's just according to IMDb, so that might change. But yeah, I think I like the mystery surrounding this trailer. It doesn't give anything away, at least not to me. It doesn't. Um, Hearing Luke's voice is nice because obviously Luke died at the end of the Last Jedi, so I'm quite in some ways. So he's still able to train Rey in a sense through the Force. So that's nice. That works. And the moment when she says, "People think they know me, but no one does," and then Kylo says, "No, but I know you." So clearly, there was something that he hasn't told her, or he was lying to her in the Last Jedi when he said, "Oh, your parents are nothing; they were no one." So I think it's safe to assume she is a Skywalker. That's my theory. I think she might be Luke's daughter, or she might be Leia and Han's daughter. So I think she's definitely a Skywalker. She's descending of a Skywalker. Otherwise, the lightsaber would not have called to her in The Force Awakens like it did. And she would not have such a strong connection to the Force other than what she did. Yeah, so I mean, it looks interesting. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, very epic. It's nice to see Lando back. So yay, Billy D, Billy D's back. Woo! And I think there's a couple of new characters as well that they're going to throw in. But I also saw a shot of Rose Tico, who was in the previous film. I hope they don't focus too much on the romance that her and Finn were developing. Well, I mean, at least from her point of view, it was a romance. We don't know if Finn feels the same way. He just kind of was a bit shocked by the kiss that happened in The Last Jedi. I just hope that J.J. Abrams hasn't taken too much from the other films. I mean, it looks like there's going to be a great big battle on this barge, which is in the sea. And the lightsaber duel looks really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be an action-packed film, and I think it's going to be terrific fun. But whether it delivers emotionally and whether it delivers as the end of the Star Wars, well, the Skywalker series, is another question. Yeah, I'm curious to know if that ice planet. I mean, that reminded me of the Fortress of Solitude from Superman. I don't know about you, but that reminded me of that. I mean, it might be Hoth. I mean, it could be an island on Hoth, or it could be somewhere completely different.
Yeah, no, I kind of like the ice setting because like the previous couple Star Wars films, well, especially Force Awakens, the whole fact that it was on a desert planet again kind of annoyed me. So it'll be
And then
nice to
Rogue
see.
One actually had a desert as well, which was another annoying thing.
Yeah, so I'm glad they sort of changed up the location. No, I mean I'm looking forward to it. I mean that lightsaber fight, like you said, looks awesome. I think it's going to be the final lightsaber fight between Rey and Kylo, and I think she might kill Kylo. I don't know. I mean, he could be redeemed to the good side, but I don't really think that he'll be redeemed. I mean, I don't want him to be redeemed. I mean, he killed Han Solo,
Yeah, he killed his own
and he
dad.
killed
So
Snoke. He killed Snoke
yeah.
as well. So
Well,
hopefully
yeah, but
his
no
character.
one gives a shit
Yeah.
about Snoke.
Well, that's true, but I mean, he killed Han, so I'd like to see him
Yeah.
just get killed off. I'd like to see him just die instead of him being redeemed to the light side. I mean, he could still be redeemed to the light side, but they have to do it in a good way. I just hope it doesn't rip off Return of the Jedi. Like, I really hope the Emperor doesn't come back. I mean, I hope it's just a Force ghost or flashbacks, in the
Yeah, I mean,
film.
it looks
Yeah.
like they go back to Jakku because it looks like there's going to be some big speeder chase or something on Jakku. So yeah, maybe I
You
don't
gonna
know. I
see
mean,
Sebulba?
I mean, it looks like it. I mean, it looks like it's gonna be a real sort of epic ride. I mean, obviously, there's a shot actually as well where we see Kylo Ren, and Rey in the damaged throne room of the Death Star, where Return of the Jedi saw Luke and Vader have their climactic fight. So I think that's going to be interesting, and obviously hearing the Emperor's voice again, I hope he's not alive as such. If he's like just a voice like Luke, then that would be interesting. Perhaps he's found a way to kind of either go into another body or perhaps he's just the spirit. I'm hoping he's like a ghost of some kind, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they explain that, because if he is alive, how do you explain the Return of the Jedi? Because it looked as though he died. So I'm curious about that. But then we see another throne room, presumably on the Crystal Planet, or the ice base. I don't know where that is, but yeah. But I do like the shot of Kylo Ren and Rey about to fight in the Death Star, the damaged Death Star. So obviously, when the Death Star was destroyed in Return of the Jedi, it wasn't destroyed. It was obviously, or it was blown up and it fell down to this planet, or maybe it is another Death Star. I don't know. That's kind of confusing me at the moment.
I think it could be another Death Star because I'm pretty sure it was blown to smithereens in Return of the Jedi. And to be honest, I don't want another Death Star. I'm just kind of getting sick of that. I mean, that's why I like Last Jedi. There was no Death Star. Like, how many fucking things, how many Death Stars do you have to build before you get the fucking hint? You know, I mean, they always get blown up. You always have that stupid flaw in them. And not only that, but we already had the Star Killer base in Force Awakens. I didn't care about the Star Killer base. It was literally just Death Star
Yeah.
3.0.
Yeah, there was no reason to call it Star Killer. Just, and it's same like the Resistance and the First Order. Just call them the Rebels and the Empire. You know, there's no difference. Yeah. Ugh.
It'll be interesting as well how. Sorry, go ahead.
No. After you. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna wrap up Carrie Fisher's storyline because she's in the trailer, and I think they'll probably just use deleted scenes from the previous films. But I wonder if she dies in the film, or they just, end the series and they don't tell you what happened there, like they just pretend that she lived on or something. I don't know, but I mean,
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. With Carrie Fisher, obviously, originally, before she died, she sadly passed away. They were going to include her much more in the Rise of Skywalker. They said they had big plans for her. So what that meant, we don't necessarily know. But there's that moment, obviously, when she hugs Rey, and you can tell that they've used CGI, like deleted scenes from The Force Awakens. They've confirmed that. J.J. Abrams has said, we're going to be using deleted scenes from The Force Awakens and trying to implement them in this film. Out of respect, really, I think that is the best thing to do, so rather than recast the role, because that would just be ridiculous. And then it's better than not having her in it. So I think, to be honest, they did the best they could, and this really is the only way to kind of do it, because otherwise, if she's not in the film, how do you explain it? Other than you kill her off screen, and then you have a funeral. But I don't know. I mean, her role is obviously going to be very, very limited. So she'll probably only have a couple of scenes potentially. But whether they kill her off, I don't know. Like, because I was worried that they were going to do that in The Last Jedi, but there was that powerful moment where she was blown out of the ship and then she flew back, which I quite liked. Everybody seems to criticize that, but I actually think that was a nice moment. So yeah, but I don't really want her to die. I don't want the character to die. I think that would be stupid. But I know they've killed Han in The Force Awakens. They killed Luke in The Last Jedi. So there is every chance they could kill Leia in this one. I'm hoping not. I mean, they might kill Lando. I don't know. I mean, who knows? They don't have to kill all of them each time. I mean, that would be a shame. And in terms of the new characters as well, like Poe and Finn, like I don't want any of them to die either. Or Rey, I don't want Rey to die. You know, it would be a shame to lose her at the end. But I mean, I can't predict how the ending's going to go. It could go many different ways. I just hope JJ doesn't fuck it up. I really hope that he's ended this in a good way. I mean, what are your predictions of the ending?
No, I mean, I hope the ending is satisfying. I think Rey will live, and I think maybe Kylo might be redeemed. I don't know. I mean, I hope he just gets killed off. I think that would be better than just. I don't think he is redeemable, in my opinion. I think he's too conflicted. I mean, he could be redeemable, but at the same time, he killed Han, so I kind of like to see his character be killed off. One thing I will say though is apparently J.J. Abrams says this film won't retcon anything from The Last Jedi, so that's good. At least, you know, he's not bowing down to the fans who hate The Last Jedi. You know, he's not going to retcon anything that happened in that film. So
Yeah, no, that would be bad continuity as well.
Yeah, I hope also they have Yoda in this film. I really hope that Yoda's ghost returns again, because I that was one of my favorite things about The Last Jedi, was seeing the return of the puppet Yoda ghost. You know, so that would be nice to see Yoda again. It'd be cool if like Rey saw the ghost of Yoda. That'd be cool. But
That would be, yeah. I mean, she hasn't met Yoda.
Yeah.
No, but they'll like in Return of the Jedi. Obviously, at the very end, there was ghosts. There were like the ghost characters. Maybe they'll do something similar to that. I mean, hopefully not in the same way as Return of the Jedi, but maybe we'll see like references to previous films, like past characters may have ghosts that appear. I mean, there was a rumor that Hayden Christensen was going to appear in the Rise of Skywalker, so there's every chance his ghost could appear again. So we don't know.
Yeah, I was
maybe
gonna say that it'd be cool to see his ghost return in this. Like that'd be cool.
Yeah, because at least he won't have to say anything.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. He could have got acting lessons, so he could be quite good in this. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it will be interesting to sort of see how this one finishes it, because I mean, we know it's not going to be the last Star Wars film ever. Of course not. Disney are too greedy, so they're going to carry on the franchise. I mean, Brian Johnson's trilogy is going ahead, whether we like it or not. The spin-offs will probably continue. Like Rogue One and Solo, those sort of spin-offs will continue, but the main episodic films will be done, unless they come up with any more ideas. But I don't really see how they can. I think with this trailer, it looks again like anything that J.J. Abrams makes. It looks visually nice, but whether the storytelling holds up is another question. Because I like The Force Awakens, and it was a good film, but the story was very similar to A New Hope, and a lot of people said that. So. And I know why he did it that way. He wanted to make it a love letter to the fans, but you need to be a bit more original, JJ. So I hope that JJ has really spent time on this script and has thought about surprising us, because that's all we could really ask for.
And only that, but like I think The Force Awakens as well. Like I hope he just doesn't rip off Return of the Jedi. Since it's the last film in the trilogy. Although saying that, this isn't the last episodic Star Wars film, because Ryan Johnson's doing his trilogy afterwards. So it's the end of the saga for the moment. It's the end. It's probably the end of the Skywalker story, but you know, I think we're definitely going to get an episode 10, 11, and 12 with Ryan Johnson. So yeah.
I mean, is it confirmed to be 10, 11, and 12?
Yeah, I think he's doing a new trilogy. It's 10, 11, and 12. I think they've confirmed that, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, also another thing that we should mention is that Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, I think, will most likely be John Williams' final. It's going to be his final Star Wars film score. But I've just found out that he's going to be composing a TV series for Star Wars, but only the theme. So I think this is going to be like one of his last films that he ever composes. He's then he's then conducting something else, and then he's using stock music for another thing. But I think The Rise of Skywalker will be a definitive endpoint for him to retire. I mean, I would love to see John Williams continue for years and years, but the fact of the matter is he's too old now. He's earned his retirement. He really has. I would happily see John Williams retire, but what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think this is probably his last one. I think he said it's his last one, and I hope he has a good send off, because I think really his sort of scores haven't been that great since The Force Awakens. I mean, there's still some scores in there that are good, like Rey's theme, but they kind of been lackluster. And I think, you know, John Williams is getting on a bit now. I mean, he's 86. You know, he's nearly 90 years old, so Also, and I also think he's right. 9 films. I mean, that's a lot of Star Wars films. It's a nice number to end on. So I mean, I just
Yeah,
hope the new guy or girl, whatever takes over, does a good job. I mean, I'd say get Michael Giacchino because he did a great score for Rogue One. Just get him to replace John Williams. But I mean,
yeah,
saying that, it
exactly.
will be weird. It will be weird to see a Star Wars film without his soundtracks because I mean he's such a part of the Star Wars universe. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And also another thing, like with Rogue One, the score for that, Michael Giacchino has come out and said that he replaced another composer that was meant to do it, and he had only like a month to compose the score for Rogue One. So I say that's impressive. Good on him.
yeah, I agree. To do that score in just under a month, I mean that's really impressive.
Hmm. But I think this would be an interesting film because then hopefully watching all three trilogies back to back will give us a clear idea of the story and sort of a general sort of thing from beginning to end. Also, one thing I do want J.J. Abrams to do in The Rise of Skywalker, or I hope he's done it because he's already filmed the film now. I hope that he has explained what happened in that 30 years. There's a 30-year gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So there's got to be a reason as to how the Resistance, as you call them, and the First Order, how the First Order rose from the ashes of the Empire. Like, how did they, like, what did they do? How did they rise to power after the Empire was defeated? Um, I want to know what happened because that's a very blank hole that hasn't been filled yet. We have heard bits and pieces about Kylo Ren, but that's it. We haven't heard about the Resistance or the First Order. Um, so yeah, that's my feeling. Like what happened in that gap, JJ? I want to know what happened in that gap. We didn't get an answer in Force Awakens. We didn't get an answer in The Last Jedi. Can we get an answer in The Rise of Skywalker, please? Jack?
Yep. Sorry, what were you
Oh
saying?
yeah, yeah. I was just saying, like, I want to know what happened in that 30 years between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. We only heard brief bits about what Kylo Ren's backstory was, but we didn't hear about how the First Order rose out of the ashes of the Empire. So we didn't get an answer in The Force Awakens. We didn't get an answer in The Last Jedi. And I'm hoping we get an answer in The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, what do you think about that?
No, I mean I agree with you. I mean it's interesting to see how the tables have turned in the 30 years because literally in Last Jedi the resistance or the rebels have gone back to being a small, tiny force, and they're almost wiped out by the First Order. I mean, I, I just wondering how did the Empire go? How did they? I mean, they were defeated at the end of Return of the Jedi. How did they become this huge force again? And how did the Resistance become so small again? Like, there's a lot of answers that there was a lot of questions that were left unanswered in Force Awakens and Last Jedi about the 30 years in between those films. So hopefully they explain that more.
Yeah. Also, think about the stormtroopers as well. The stormtroopers obviously aren't the same clones that we saw in the prequels and the originals. Assuming all the stormtroopers died in Return of the Jedi or fled, so we didn't see any of them. The Force Awakens established that there was this new set of troopers that were taken from families or something. Like Finn was taken out of his family and he was raised to be a stormtrooper. So I want to know when that happened as well, but I don't know if J.J. Abrams is going to bother to explain that. That he's not always the greatest storyteller in my opinion.
He has a tendency to sort of copy other films of the franchise, like Star Trek Into Darkness, copied
Oh God,
Star
I don't
Trek.
know who'd want to copy Star Trek Nemesis. Jeez.
God, yeah, Nemesis is your nemesis. Well, um, no, yeah, I mean, he copied Star Trek 2 with Star Trek Into Darkness, which is kind of obvious, and he also copied A New Hope with The Force Awakens. So I mean, he has a tendency to sort of copy other films in the series. So I just hope with this one he doesn't do the same. I hope he doesn't copy like Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back. I hope it's more original. And yeah, I mean, what about you?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. J.J. Abrams is someone who's very technically talented, but he's not as good a writer or director. He can do it, but like you say, he's got a tendency to copy, and he's a bit of a hack in some cases.
Yeah.
Like I mean, Into Darkness, I enjoyed it. It was a good film, but the ending literally was the reverse of the Wrath of Khan, and they even had the moment when he shouts Khan. So
yeah, except it's Spock instead of Kirk. Yeah.
So I mean, when J.J. Abrams was announced to be coming back to direct The Rise of Skywalker, I thought, okay, I mean, I can see why they've chosen him, because obviously The Force Awakens did so well. It made loads of money and it relaunched the franchise, so good for him. But I was actually quite happy with Rian Johnson in the director's chair, but clearly Rian Johnson had other ideas, and the backlash from The Last Jedi, I guess, obviously, maybe Disney thought, oh, maybe best we get someone else. I think originally they had 3 different directors. They had Colin Trevorrow for Episode 9, but he dropped out or something, or they fired him due to creative reasons. So they're like, let's just bring JJ back. So, well, okay, if you think that's going to work, but to me, I think there are better people. But I don't hate JJ Abrams. I like his films. He can make an entertaining film. It's just whether he can deliver all the goods is what I'm worried about. I'm worried about his storytelling, and I'm worried about The Rise of Skywalker not delivering on an emotional level. I think the fans might like it, and I'm sure he'll deliver a lot of fan service because he's very good at that. But I just don't know if it's going to satisfy everyone. I mean, The Last Jedi was certainly controversial, so I think he's obviously got that in the back of his mind as well. But I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. I love Star Wars, and I will always support the franchise. But also, what about the title? What do you make of the title, The Rise of Skywalker? To me, it's not the best.
I like it now, but yeah, I don't really understand what it means. Does it mean Rey's a Skywalker, hence the Rise of Skywalker, or does it mean something else? But I just don't really get what it means.
Yeah, whether it means the family, the rise of the Skywalker family, but I think it's talking about one person. I think it must mean Rey. It has to, It would be silly for it not to. The rise of Skywalker. Maybe. Oh, I don't know, but it's. I guess when I first saw the teaser trailer, and then I saw the title, I thought, oh, okay, that's not what I was expecting. I did not expect that, to be honest. Theo's commented again. Do you think Rey will actually have a twin sister on the dark side, and she's the one holding the red saber? That's another thing, yeah. In the previous footage, there was a dark Rey, so maybe Rey has a twin sister. You never know. I mean, twins aren't exactly uncommon in Star Wars, so.
Or it could be that Rey briefly turns to the dark side.
Maybe, or maybe she sees a vision of herself turning to the dark side. Because remember that scene in The Last Jedi when she looks in the cave. So there might be a similar scene where she imagines turning to the dark side. Maybe Kylo Ren is showing her what she'll look like. Maybe. I mean, there are various.
We do know that Jedis can have nightmares or visions. Like, remember in the Empire Strikes Back where Luke goes into that hole and he fights Vader, and he cuts off Vader's head, and the helmet explodes, and his head is in the helmet. So she could like have a nightmare that she's turned to the dark side or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, also Anakin in the prequels, obviously having nightmares about Padme dying in childbirth as well, and also having nightmares about his mother. Mom, no, mom. Oh. I mean, very poorly acted, but still. So
I killed them all. I hate them.
Yeah. I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them. Yeah, I do wonder if the Rise of Skywalker is going to nod back to the prequels. I do wonder. Oh dear, but
Maybe
yeah,
the Rise of Skywalker means like the rise of Luke's dick, like the rise of his dick. Well,
be weird. I didn't realize AJ wanted to make a porno Star Wars movie, but
well,
suck up that lightsaber, bitch.
Luke's boner could rise. God.
Yeah, before
Hence the Rise of Skywalker.
boner you have.
I can feel your boner.
It gives you focus, makes you stronger. Theo says, Rise of Skywalker title is super lame. The last film made bugger all sense too. Prequels all the way. Oh, wow, we have another defender of the prequels. So, fair enough. Good for you, Theo. Obviously, if there's one thing you need to know about me and Jack is that me and Jack both love The Last Jedi. So, sorry, we'll agree to disagree on The Last Jedi. Yeah. But I do agree Rise of Skywalker title is a little bit lame, but I'm getting used to it now. And as for the
surprised
prequels,
you like the prequels. I mean, I used to love them as a kid, but I'm not a huge fan of them anymore. I mean, the first two I just find really boring, and the dialogue is terrible. Although saying that, Revenge of the Sith is easily the best.
But it's still not perfect. I mean, Revenge of the Sith I'll take any day over the first two combined. So,
yeah.
But I mean, they all have their entertaining moments to me. It's just Revenge of the Sith is probably the most entertaining of the three. So yeah, it's one of those things. But Lucas was kind of out of his depth really when he was making the prequels. It was more about the technology of the filmmaking rather than the films, which is a shame. But yeah. I still hold the prequels in regard because they are a part of the series and they do show how Anakin became Vader. Well, I mean, if you skip the first movie.
Yeah, I don't think Lucas deserves the hatred he gets. I mean, yeah, sure, the prequels aren't great, but he created the series. He created the first Star Wars film, so you can't really slag off Lucas that much.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the first film, which is actually the fourth film in the chronological timeline of the episodes, A New Hope, it's actually a really good film, and it just most of it, the production was a mess. So Lucas kind of was throwing it together, and it kind of just fell into place. I mean, he thought it was going to be a disaster, and he was lucky. I think with that film, he was very lucky. But going back to do the prequels, I really think he should have got somebody else, but maybe he didn't really realize. He didn't realize how they would turn out. But I mean, who would know anyway? To be fair, but yeah, I agree. He doesn't deserve the hatred he gets. I think people should move on, and the man's admitted his mistakes. He just made the films the way he wanted to do it, but he obviously made bad decisions. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, Jar Jar Binks would just toss under the carpet, but
they'll toss him under the bus.
See, Theo, even Qui-Gon Jinn isn't much of a good thing about the Phantom Menace. I think Liam Neeson's acting is pretty wooden in the Phantom Menace. I mean, the character's okay, but I would say the pod race and Darth Maul, they're the best things about it. The double-bladed lightsaber duel is fantastic. But yeah, I mean, the prequels do have their moments. They do. I mean, they had great music. Gotta love the John Williams soundtrack.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you got Jar Jar stepping in shit in Phantom Menace, so that's a highlight.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Bravo, Lucas. Bravo, George. Bravo. I mean, I know you don't like Attack of the Clones all that much, and I can understand your reasons why, to be honest. It's not the best.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like sand. It's coarse, rough, and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
God. Yeah, I think everybody has done a piss take of that scene, especially when they confess their love. When Padme says to him, "I truly, deeply love you," Oh God!
You are in my
George.
very soul, tormenting me.
I will do anything you ask. If you are suffering as much as I am, please tell me. Oh God!
Ugh.
Such a whiny brat.
Even my
God.
cousin, when we watched Attack of the Clones, she never seen Star Wars before, but she wanted to see them. And like we watched Phantom Menace and we watched Attack of the Clones, and she's like, "Oh, that's creepy," you know.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
when he said, when he said, "You're in my very soul, tormenting me." Like, oh God.
Well, maybe once the Rise of Skywalker's come out, we can do a proper reflection. Maybe we should do like a proper long reflection on the 9 movies, the Skywalker saga. That would be awesome. I'd love to do
Have
that.
we done an audio commentary on Attack of the Clones?
I think we have, yeah. Why, do you
Yeah.
want to do it again?
No, I was just wondering if we did.
Yeah, I think we did the Phantom Menace. Yeah, I think we've done the prequels. I think
Have we
the only one
done
we haven't done is-
Empire or A New Hope?
Yeah, I think those are the ones we haven't done. So yeah, we can go do them at some point.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously we're going off topic a bit. In terms of the trailer of the Rise of Skywalker, there's not much else to really say. I mean, again, it looks kind of like what I expected: visually pleasing, great action, a lot of fun. But will it deliver on story and emotion? That's what I want to know. And will it copy the other films too much? That's what I'm worried about. But I'm willing to give it a chance, and I actually am really excited for it now.
Do you think Sidious is back, or do you think it's just like a flashback, or he's a Force ghost or something?
Well, I don't think it's a flashback purely because of the line he says. He says, "All of you coming together has been your greatest downfall," or something like that. So he's obviously been planning this for a long time. So I guess it must mean he's alive, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Whatever it means, I don't know. But it looks as though they've brought him back from the dead, possibly, which is a slight concern.
Theodore says Rogue One's probably the best film since Empire Strikes Back, and he also says Force Awakens was derivative of its predecessors, not celebratory, offered nothing new. Last Jedi, you couldn't give credit for being original in some ways. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, I do believe The Force Awakens had the intention of being a love letter to the fans, but it was too derivative, like slightly too derivative. Like, it was a fun movie; you could watch it and enjoy it better than the prequels. But yeah, it didn't exactly do anything new with Star Wars, except with the new characters, maybe. The Last Jedi for me took risks, which is why I love it, and obviously some people found that to be too controversial, but I actually liked it the way Rian Johnson kept it interesting with a lot of twists and turns, and then the ending of the film leaves you like, where do they go from here? They're like literally the Resistance are down to only a few, so how are they going to win against these guys in the next one? So it kind of changed the stakes, as the middle chapter should do. Maybe not everything about it worked. I mean, okay, yeah, the casino plot, people didn't like that, but I thought it was fine. I thought it fit perfectly well, but yeah. What about you, Jack? You loved it as well, didn't you? Hello? Okay, Jack is gone.
No, I'm here.
Oh, sorry.
I think we should probably wrap up now. I mean, it's nearly 5.
Yeah. Just before we go though, what was your sort of like overall opinion on The Last Jedi?
I really enjoyed it. I didn't think it was as bad as people made it out. Yeah, it took a lot of risks, but I enjoyed it. And as for the trailer, it's a really interesting trailer, really good trailer. And I look forward to Rise of Skywalker. Hopefully it's very good and it doesn't copy the other films.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I need to go anyway, so we need to wrap up. But thank you, Theo, for commenting, and thank you guys very much for watching and listening. Sorry, I know we went off topic of the trailer, but we had a general discussion about Star Wars. So yeah, stay tuned for our reviews of this movie when it comes out, and also hopefully another reflection on the Skywalker saga, which will be 9 movies. Well, hopefully that'll be a great hangout to do. But anyway, Jack's had to go, so thank you very much all for listening or watching. I'm Ollie, and that was Jack. See you soon.